the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Today we shall begin the 6th chapter. In the 6th chapter, you will find the process of yoga. We have heard many times of the yoga system. The yoga system is approved by Bhagavad Gita. But the system of yoga as prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita, it is specially meant for purifying your status. Karma shuddhasya viditātmana. Karma shuddhasya viditātmana. To control the senses and to purify the process of work. That is the purpose of yoga. Yoga means to purify the process of our activity and to control the senses. See, Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan, the other day we have explained who is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the last word of the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth is realized in 3 phases: impersonal Brahma, localized Paramatma, Super Soul, and ultimately as the Supreme Personality of God. Ultimately, Bhagavan, or the Supreme Absolute Truth, is person. And secondarily, he is all-pervading Super Soul. And the Brahma Jyoti, effulgence. So here it is said, see, Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan means the proprietor of everything and all-powerful, he has got all famous. Nobody can be more famous than God. And all beautiful and full of knowledge and full of renunciation. Full of opulence, at the same time full of renunciation. Here, in the material world, you will find if a rich man has got great opulence, he is not liking to give it up. He does not like to renounce. But in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will find full of all opulence, but at the same time full of renunciation. The 6th qualification, proprietor of all opulence, all famous, all strength, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Anywhere you find all these 6 qualifications in full, he is the Supreme Personality of God. So here it is said, see, Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is speaking. His speaking means he is speaking with all knowledge. His knowledge has no flaw. Our knowledge has so many flaws. We commit mistakes. We are illusioned. Sometimes we speak something and at our heart there is something else. That means we cheat. And our experience all imperfect because our senses are imperfect. Therefore, I cannot speak anything to you. If you ask me, Swamiji, then what you are speaking? I am speaking simply what the Supreme Personality Godhead has said. I am just repeating the same word, that's all. Don't think that I am speaking. I am simply an instrument. Real speaker is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is without and within. So what does he say? He says, anasritam anasrita karma phalam karjam karma karoti ja sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragni na cha kriya. Anasrita. Anasrita means without any shelter. Karma phalam. Everyone is working, expecting some result. Whatever you do, what? You expect some result. Here, Bhagavan says, the Supreme Personality Godhead says, that anyone who works without any shelter of the result, he works. Then, if he does not expect any result, then why does he work? Unless, suppose, I ask somebody to work this way, then he will expect something, some result, some remuneration, some reward, or some salary. That is the way of working here. But Krishna prescribes the anasrita karma phalam. One who works without any expectation of result or reward. Then why does he work? Karjam. It is my duty. It is my duty. Not with a result, but as duty. I am duty bound to do this. Karjam karma karoti ja. In such a way, if somebody works, sa sannyasi, he is actually in the renounced order of life. There are 4 stages of life according to Vedic culture. We have many times explained to you that brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyasi. Brahmachari means student life, to be trained up in spiritual understanding, Krishna Consciousness, fully trained up, he is called brahmachari. Then, after full training, he accepts wife, he gets himself married and lives with family and children, that is called grihastha. Then, after 50 years, he leaves the children alone and gets out of home, accompanied by his wife, and travels in the holy places, that is called vanaprastha, retired life. And at last, he gives up his wife to the care of his children, grown-up children, and he remains alone. And that is called sannyas, a renounced order of life. So these 4 orders of life there are. Now Krishna says that simply renouncement is not all. Simply renouncement is not all. There must be some duty. Karjam. Karjam means it is my duty. Now what is that duty? He has renounced the family life. He has no more botheration how to maintain his wife and children. Then what is his duty? That duty is very responsible duty, to work for Krishna. Karjam. Karjam means it is the real duty. There are 2 kinds of duties in our life. One duty is to serve the illusion, and the another duty is to serve the reality. when you serve the reality, that is called real sannyas. And when we serve the illusion, that is called maya. Now, either to serve the reality or to serve the illusion, I am in such a position that I have to serve. My position is not to become the master, but to become the servant. That is my constitution. Everyone in this material world, he is a servant. Nobody is master. One thinks that I am the master, but he is actually servant. Suppose if you have got your family, if you are thinking that you are the master of your wife, of your children, of your servant, of your business, that is false. You are the servant of your wife, you are the servant of your children, you are the servant of your servants. That is your real position. Any case you take, the president, he is considered to be the master of your country, but actually he is the servant of your country. So if you go on analyzing that our position is always servant. So either we shall become the servant of illusion or we shall have to become the servant of God. But if we remain the servant of illusion, then our life is wasted. Everyone is servant of illusion. He is servant of nobody, but servant of illusion. He is expecting some profit. For serving, he is expecting some profit, but that profit is transient and illusion. Therefore, he is servant of illusion. And when a person becomes to his real senses, transcendental senses or jnana, when he becomes actually the person in knowledge, then he becomes the servant of the reality. Because I am servant always, this way or that way. So knowledge means, then why shall I serve the unreal illusion? Let me serve the reality. If my business is to serve and nothing to be, and never to be master, always to serve, then why I shall serve the illusion? Let me serve the reality. That sense is called knowledge. So anasthita karma phalam, sannyas, renounced order of life means one who is in perfect knowledge, he can take sannyas. Otherwise, if he takes all of a sudden the renounced order of life, he will create misery for himself and misery for others. In full knowledge, that's sannyas. So here, how that full knowledge is exhibited after sannyas, that is explained here by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is that? Karjam. It is my duty to become Krishna conscious and to serve the cause of Krishna. Oh, that is my duty. That is my real duty. When we come to this knowledge, then we become Mahatma or the great soul. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. You'll find in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mang Prabodha. After many births, when a person, when a soul is perfectly elevated to the platform of real knowledge, transcendental knowledge, then what does he do? He surrenders unto me. Krishna says, he surrenders unto me. Why? Now Vasudeva Sarvamiti, you are everything. Vasudeva. Vasudeva means Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. But Krishna says, such Mahatma Sudurlabha, such great soul is very scarce, rarely found. But any intelligent person, if he understands this philosophy, that my ultimate goal of life is to surrender unto Krishna, why not surrender immediately? Why shall I wait? Bhaunam janmanam ante. Why shall I wait for so many births? So that stage is called real sannyas. Karjam. Karjam means it is my duty. I am not forced, but voluntarily, out of love, transcendental love. Just like mother serves this child out of love. There is no question of salary or remuneration. The mother loves this child. Similarly, you can love the Supreme Lord in many ways. You can love the Supreme Lord as master. You can love the Supreme Lord as friend. You can love the Supreme Lord as child. You can love the Supreme Lord as your husband. Anyway, there are 5 different rasas or humor in which we are eternally related with the Supreme Lord. And when we are actually in the liberated stage of our knowledge, we can understand that our relationship with the Lord is in this way. That is called Sarup Siddhi. That is real self-realization. That is real self-realization. Everyone has an eternal relationship with the Lord, either in the conception of master and servant, or in the conception of friend and friend, or in the conception of parents and the child, or in the conception of husband and wife, or in the conception of paramour and lover and the beloved. So, these relationships are there eternally. Now, the whole process of spiritual realization is to come to this stage, transcendental stage. This relationship with the Supreme Lord is pervertedly reflected in this material world. And therefore, we have got this relationship here, master and servant. But because it is perverted, therefore that relationship is not master and servant. That relationship is with the money and the benefits. There is no love. There is no love. Here in this material world, the master and the servant, that relationship continues so long the master is able to pay the servant. As soon as the payment is stopped, the relationship of master and servant also stops. Therefore that is not eternal. Come on, sit down. That is not eternal. Similarly, here also there is relationship between friend and friend. But in slight difference of opinion, the friendship breaks. The friend becomes enemy. Therefore it is perverted reflection. Similarly, the relationship between relationship between mother and son, a slight difference of opinion breaks the relationship, and the son becomes out of the relationship of mother, mother becomes out of the every way, husband and wife, a slight difference of opinion, there is divorce, separation. So no relationship here in this material world is actual. Always remember that all relationship in this material world is perverted reflection of that relationship which we have got eternally with the Supreme Personality of God. It is simply reflected, just like the sun shines and the sunshine is reflected in the glass, and that reflection comes to your... in my apartment, at 6 o'clock, the sunshine comes from the western side, eastern side. Then in the evening, the sunshine cannot come from the eastern side. The sunshine comes from the western side. But it is coming because it is reflected through a glass in the opposite house. This is the idea of reflection. That reflection of the sunshine is not real, but it appears just like sunshine. Similarly, all our relationship here, either as master and servant, or as friend and friend, or as parents and child, or as husband and wife, or as lover and the beloved, any relationship, whatever we see here, that is the perfect reflection of our eternal relationship with God. So, when we come to that and the platform of understanding, then we are perfectly in knowledge. So when that knowledge comes, here it is stated, he takes the service of the Lord, Krishna consciousness, karjam. Karjam means it is my duty. Because I have got my eternal love relationship with Krishna. There is no question of remuneration. Of course, remuneration is there 1,000 times more than what remuneration we get here by rendering our service. Krishna 1,000 times, or not 1,000 times, because there is no limit. There is a nice story of a great devotee, Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was a very powerful king, and he conquered over the heavenly planets. So the denizens of the heavenly planets, they appealed to the Supreme Lord to save them, that we are now conquered by the demonic king, Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj and Krishna took the shape of a dwarf and went to Bali Maharaj for begging as a Brahmin boy. And he approached him, Bali Maharaj, I want something from you. You are a great king. You give in charity to the Brahmins. So I want something from you. The Bali Maharaj said, yes, I shall give you what you want. Now I want land of 3, in the measurement of my soul, 3 soul measurement, that's all. So he was a boy, his soul was not very long. The Bali Maharaj said, what he will do is a small piece of land. But he said, yes, that will suffice me. If you promise this 3 measurement of my 3 palms land, that will suffice. Then Bali Maharaj agreed, and by his 2 measurement of the palm, he covered the whole universe. Then he is asking, Bali Maharaj, now whatever you got, now it is finished by 2 feet, by 2 measurement of my palm. Now where I am going to keep my third one? Then Bali Maharaj understood that it is a favor of the Supreme Lord. He said, my dear Lord, yes, I have now lost everything, I have no other property, but I have got my head. Please kindly keep it. So the Lord was very much pleased on him, and he offered, Bali Maharaj, then what do you want from me? No, I never expected anything from you. I could understand. You wanted from me everything, so I have offered my everything, that is finished. How do you want? Then Lord says, yes, but from my side, I have done something to offer you, and I shall remain as your order carrier servant in your door. So he remained always, just like we are sitting here, There may be some doorman. The Lord became his doorman. So that is the return. If we offer something to Lord, that is rewarded in many millions of times. So we should not expect. The Lord is always serious to return the service of the servant, of his devotee. So there are many devotees. This devotee, Bali Maharaj, is surrendered everything for the service of the Lord. So he became a famous king. Sarvatma sapane avavad bali vaiyasuti. So now, anyone who thinks that service of Krishna or service of the Lord is my duty, he is the man in perfect knowledge. Sa sannyasi. Sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. And is actually yogi. We have heard the names of so many yogis, but here Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he is actual yogi, who has surrendered himself fully unto me, and he is engaged in my service as a matter of duty. That's all. Sa sannyasi sa yogi cha, na niragni na cha kriya, na niragni. Niragni means those who have left home in the varnashram dharma. One who is a householder, he has to perform daily yajna. So there is fire. Still you will find the Parsis, they are fire worshippers. So this fire worship is recommended in Vedic literature. So grihasthas or the householders, they are expected to offer sacrifice in the fire daily. Ja sannasamiti prahu yogam tad vidhi pandava na jasangnasta sankalpa yogi bhavati kastam. Now here's a very important point. Jang sannasamiti prahu. Lord Sri Krishna in his steps of June, that whatever is known as sannyas, renounced order of life, that is also yoga. Yoga system and sannyas, there is no difference. Because everything on the yoga system, this Bhagavad Gita is also known as yoga system. You will find here three kinds of yoga: karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. So, just like you have got a staircase to rise up to the 5th or 6th or 10th floor, or more than that, the whole staircase or the lift service is called yoga. Now, somebody may be in the 5th floor, somebody may be in the 10th floor, somebody may be on the 50th floor, but the same lift service is going. So you take the lift service as the yoga, connection between the highest story to the down. Anyone who has elevated himself to a certain platform, someone is called karma yogi, someone is called jnana yogi, someone is called dhyana yogi, someone is called bhakti yogi. So there are different kinds of yoga in this conception. Otherwise, the lip service, yoga service is the same. It is the difference is between the elevation point. So similarly, jang sannyasam iti prahu yogam tang vidhi Pandava. Oh Arjuna, Pandava means the son of Pandu, Arjuna. You can understand that what is sannyas and what is yoga, they are the same principle. They are the same principle. How? Na jasangnasta sankalpa yogi bhavati kastam. Because without being freed from desire of sense gratification, nobody can become either a yogi or a sannyas. Everyone is trying to have some profit out of his activities. There are many yogis, they perform yoga system or teach yoga system for some profit. But that is not the idea of yoga system. Everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Everything. Whatever we do, either as ordinary worker, or as sannyasi, or as yogi, or as jnani, all our energy should be dotted with Krishna consciousness. That is real sannyas, that is real yoga. Arudukham nijyogam karma karanam uchyate. Those who are just stepping on the staircase of the yoga system, for them karma karanam uchyate, they must work. In the beginning, nobody should stop working. Nobody should stop working. Just like you will find in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna requesting Arjuna to become a yogi, but he never asked him to cease from the fight. How one can become a yogi at the same time remain a fighter? That's a practical example you see. Krishna is asking Arjuna, tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, therefore you become a yogi. But he, at the same time he is asking to fight. And now we know the yogi sits down at a place and meditates and concentrates his mind and controls his senses. How is that? He is fighting at the same time yogi. This is the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. You can remain a fighting man, at the same time the highest yogi, highest sannyasi. How? In Krishna consciousness. You have to fight for Krishna, that's all. That is the secret. That is the secret. If you fight for Krishna, if you fight for work for Krishna, if you eat for Krishna, if you sleep for Krishna, if you do everything for Krishna, then you are the yogi, you are the sannyasi, and you are everything. That is the secret of Bhagavad Gita. The practical example, you see, that Arjuna is asked, tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. My dear, now you will find in this chapter, Krishna will instruct Arjuna how to become a dhyana yogi. That is meditation, yogi in meditation. He will ask Arjuna in this chapter, and he will find Arjuna will say, my dear Krishna, it is impossible for me. It is impossible for me. The system which you recommend for meditation is not possible for me. And actually also, although the instruction of yoga system is offered to Krishna in very full detail, you will never find in the history of Arjuna's life that ever he became a meditator. Ever. Then how he became the most perfect yogi? That we'll find at the end of this chapter, that one who is always thinking of Krishna. Yoginamapi sarvesam madgata antaratmana sadhyavan bhajati jumam same yuktatamo mataha. Krishna, when he saw that Arjuna is declined, then he said, my dear Krishna, my dear Arjuna, you are the highest yogi. You are the topmost yogi. Why? Because you are always thinking of me. That's all. You have no other business than to think of me. This is the yoga system, this is the sannyas system, this is the jnana system, all perfection of jnana, yoga, dhyana, and whatever, sacrifice, charity, and penance, all the recommended activities for spiritual realization ends in Krishna consciousness. So if you directly become Krishna conscious, then you are yogi, sannyasi and everything, as it is stated here. Sa sannyasi sa yogi cha. He is sannyasi, he is yogi, and he is everything. He is everything. So this simple method to become Krishna conscious is the highest perfection of life. Therefore this society established for Krishna consciousness. And the techniques are there in the Bhagavad Gita, and there are Srimad Bhagavatam. Just try to accept this principle of life, and this human form of life will be successful and perfect by Krishna consciousness. So arurukha munir jugam karma karanam uchyate, those who are in the preliminary state, they should always work for Krishna. Always, they must find out always some duty. What is there to work now for Krishna consciousness? Karma karanam uchyate. They should not remain idle for a second. Always find out some duty. That is meditation. How I shall work for Krishna? Arurukha munir jugam karma karanam uchyate, yogarurasya tasaiva samak karanam uchyate. And when one is advanced in perfect state of that Krishna consciousness, then he may not physically work, but because within himself he is always working for Krishna. Samak karanam uchyate. So in the beginning, just like in small boys and children, they are always 24 hours engaged in the schooling. Otherwise, they will be spoiled. So similarly, those who are in the preliminary stage of Krishna consciousness, they should always engage themselves in the work. There are varieties of work. Now, those who are actually working with our society, they practically do not find any time, any rest. There are so many work. They cannot finish. Day and night we have got work for Krishna consciousness. And we are happy to execute such work. And the students who are working with us, cooperating, they are also happy. You will find happiness. If you chant Hare Krishna 24 hours, you will never get tired. And that is it. You will never get tired. And any other material thing, if you chant or if you repeat 3 times, you will get tired. It is practical test. But if you go on chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours, you will never get tired. So if you engage yourself in the activity of Krishna consciousness, you will never get tired, because you are acting on the spiritual platform. Spiritual platform is absolute. The material planet platform is different. If you work very hard, then you get tired. So these are the understanding of spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Now here it is very clearly explained. Jadahi nendriyartheshu na karmasu anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarhurastadachyate. When one becomes first class yogi, or when one is considered to be elevated in the highest yogic platform or sannyas platform, that jada, at that time, when na indriyathesu, a person who works not for sense gratification, that's all. Everyone works for sense gratification. In the material world, everyone is working for sense gratification. Everyone works here to get some reward, some remuneration for wages, and that is utilized for sense gratification. Now here it is said, yogarura, when one is perfect yogi, that is explained here, that jadahi na indriyathesu, when one does not work for sense gratification, na karmasu anusajjate, he does not engage himself in the work simply for sense gratification. And sarva sankalpa sannyasi, and he has no desire to get any fruit. because his desired thing, Krishna, is already there. So he has no other desire. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarura saduchyate. At that time he is considered to be situated in the perfect stage.